Hey there! Have you ever really, truly thought about the incredible journey your food takes to get to your plate? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that whole process. We're going from a tiny little seed all the way to the food that feeds billions of us. Let's jump in.
It really starts with this one big question, right? How on earth does something so small, a single seed, get turned into a global food supply? It almost sounds like magic, but what it really is a process that we've been perfecting for thousands and thousands of years.
And that's the real heart of the matter. This quote nails it. Feeding everybody isn't something that just happens by chance. It needs a system, a really well thought out, well-managed process. And that's the system we're going to explore, step by step.
Okay, so first things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page with the lingo. When we're talking about farming on this massive scale, we're talking about a crop. This isn't just a few tomato plants in your backyard garden. Nope. This is an entire field, sometimes as far as you can see, dedicated to growing just one thing, like wheat. Farming is basically a dance with the seasons. You can't just plant whatever you want, whenever you want. This slide gives us a perfect example from India. Crops there are split into two big groups. You've got your kharif crops, like paddy rice, which are sown in the rainy season because they're super thirsty. Then you have rabi crops, like wheat, which do much better in the cooler, drier winter months.
So how does it all come together? Well, it follows a pretty clear playbook, and these 7 steps right here are the foundation of all modern agriculture. Think of this as our roadmap for the journey today, from getting the ground ready all the way to storing the final harvest.
All right, let's kick things off at the very beginning with step 1, preparing the soil. Because, and this is key, a successful harvest doesn't start with the seed. It starts with creating the perfect home for that seed to thrive in.
Now, you might look at a field being plowed and just think it's, well, digging up dirt. But there is some serious science going on here. Why do farmers go to all that trouble of turning and loosening an entire field?
Well, it's all about creating the perfect environment. When you loosen the soil, it allows the plant's roots to dig down deep and, maybe surprisingly, to breathe. It also acts like a giant blender, churning up that good, nutrient-rich soil from below and helping all those friendly little critters like earthworms and microbes to do their job. So it's not just digging, it's literally engineering the foundation for life.
And the evolution of how we do this is just incredible. We've gone from traditional wooden plows pulled by animals to these powerful, massive tractor-driven cultivators. What used to take days of back-breaking labor can now be done in a fraction of the time. It's a huge leap in efficiency.
Okay, the ground is prepped and ready. Now we're at step 2, sowing. This is that magic moment when all that potential gets placed right into the soil.
But wait, you can't just plant any old seed. Nope, farmers have this simple but absolutely brilliant trick to make sure they're only planting the good stuff. You just drop the seeds in water. See, the damaged, hollow seeds will float to the top, while all the healthy, viable ones sink. It's such a low-tech but incredibly effective way to ensure quality.
And just like with plowing, the technology for sowing has come a long, long way. The traditional method was basically a funnel. Simple, but not very precise. The modern seed drill, though, it's a total game changer. It plants seeds at the perfect depth and distance from each other, making sure every seed has room to grow. It even covers them with soil to protect them from hungry birds. That kind of precision means less wasted seed and a much healthier crop.
So, the seeds are in the ground, but the farmer's work is far from over. In fact, now we're entering this long nurturing phase. This is where the farmer has to be a provider and a protector, making sure the crop gets food, water, and is kept safe from its enemies.
A growing plant is a hungry plant, and to feed it, farmers have a major choice to make: manure or fertilizer. And as you can see from this chart, they are fundamentally different things. Manure is natural, it's organic, and it improves the soil itself. Fertilizers, on the other hand, are man-made in factories. They're designed to deliver a really powerful, targeted punch of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It's a classic choice between long-term soil health and short-term, high-powered growth.
Now, while fertilizers are super potent, manure is often seen as better for the long-term health of the soil. See, it doesn't just feed the plant, it feeds the soil itself. It makes it better at holding water, it lets gases exchange more easily, and it encourages a whole healthy ecosystem of microbes to thrive. Next up, water. Now, traditional ways of irrigating were pretty clever for their time, but they often wasted a lot of water. Modern systems like sprinklers and especially drip irrigation are revolutionary because they are so much more efficient. A drip system delivers water one drop at a time right to the roots where it's needed most. In a world where water is becoming more and more precious, that kind of efficiency is absolutely essential.
So, our crop has its nutrients, it has its water, but it's not alone out there in the field. There's another battle that has to be fought. A battle against some very unwelcome guests.
And those unwelcome guests are called weeds. Think of them as the ultimate competitors. They're trying to steal all the good stuff, the water, the nutrients, even the sunlight from our actual crop. And if you let them, they can do some serious damage to the final harvest.
So, how do farmers fight back? Well, they have a three-pronged attack. They can remove them mechanically by tilling, which uproots them before the crop is even sown. They can be pulled out by hand, which is just hard work. Or they can be controlled with special chemicals called weedicides, which are designed to kill the weeds while leaving the crop totally fine. It's a constant fight, but if the farmer wins...
Then, after months of preparing and nurturing and protecting, we finally get to step 6, harvesting. This is the moment. This is what it has all been building towards, the reward for an entire season of hard work.
Now, this final phase has 3 key parts. First is the harvest itself, actually cutting the crop down. Then comes something called threshing. That's where you separate the part you want, the grain, from the rest of the plant, which is called chaff. And finally, and this is so important, the grain has to be stored properly and safely.
You might think the job's done once the crop is cut, but this final step, storage, is where a great harvest can turn into a total loss. Seriously, if you don't protect the grain from moisture and pests, a huge amount of it can spoil. The trick is to dry the grains first, usually out in the sun, and then store them in protected containers. That could be anything from jute bags with neem leaves at home, all the way up to massive chemically treated silos that can hold food for millions of people.
And this slide really brings the human element into focus. The harvest isn't just an industrial process. It's a moment of deep, profound joy and relief. It's so central to who we are that all across India, and really all around the world, it's celebrated with huge festivals that mark the end of another successful growing cycle.
So from loosening the soil all the way to celebrating the harvest, it is just this massive undertaking of science, of hard work, and of patience. The next time you sit down for a meal, maybe you'll think about this incredible hidden journey. What's the one part of this whole system that's